How am I going to go and manage my life in a different country with two kids? This was a time that it was my time. I finally was able to have time to myself to build my business, and still at the end of January I haven't found any school because majority of schools told me no, and I was freaking out. All of these steps really kind of showed to us who do you have to become, what kind of discipline you have to have in order to truly live what you want, basically what you have daydreamed about. Not just oh, I want to go, but what actually you have to do, how much money you have to make, what kind of offers you have to launch, how disciplined you have to be to make it actually happen for you. Welcome back to the Life First Business Podcast. Actually, this episode I wanted to record about two things. So one, this is actually a very highly requested episode that I do, and this is about our overall experience as a family, moving and living 3+ months in Marbella, Spain with two toddlers. So I have 2-year-old and we have 6-year-old now, just turned 6 in March. And also the second topic, which is very tied together with this topic that I will be sharing about Marbella, basically about who do you have to become in order to move across Europe, basically with two small children. And it is going to be about discipline and what do you have to do, the steps you have to take to actually stop just daydreaming about it and actually doing it. Actually really excited about this episode because I honestly got tons of DMs, tons of questions about costs. How do we decide it about, destination, the schools, how was the actual day-to-day life with two small children? Because if you are a mom, if you are a parent, you already know that it's not so easy. It's just oh, I'm gonna go live in Bali, Dubai, Marbella, whatever. When you have small kids, it's a completely different game in terms of time management, in terms of cost, trust me, and in terms of how you are going to manage your basically everyday life, how you are going to fly there, what are you going to do, what are you going to eat, all that stuff. So I'm actually going back to the beginning. So I think it was already 2 years ago when I first felt maybe we can spend a winter somewhere. And at that point, I was 100% in. And my husband was maybe it's not the best time. We just moved into this house. No, let's stay. And this year, last summer, we actually went there just for a vacation because it was such a shit summer here in Latvia. And we decided, okay, we have friends there. Let's just go for a week and check it out. And when we got there, literally, I think my husband fell in love in Costa del Sol, and he was like, "No, we should come back." We left Tom's, my son's toys there, and we laughed about, yeah, but we will come in the winter. I was like, I don't know, maybe we will not come. My husband said, no, we will come. And he was basically very certain that we will come. But this time I was very skeptical because now I had 2-year-old and I had 5-year-old, now 6-year-old, and he has school, and Maya just started kindergarten in September. So I was like, I just get back to myself, to my work schedule, to my work routine. How am I going to go and manage my life in a different country with two kids and a business that's, this was a time that it was my time. I finally was able to have time to myself, to build my business, to run my brand, and I felt like it's finally taking off. And I do not want to stop it there because I have to be 24/7 with my kids. Moving forward, this decision was not a very easy one because this time I was kind of against it. I was very, very skeptical. I didn't have any, school options, and this was really keeping me this was really blocking me from honestly having time of my life. Uh, and this time my husband really talked me into it. I think just in November, we just booked the Airbnb, and about the cost, typical average apartment starts from 2,000 euros. It was I think more or less minimum in Costa del Sol, in the area that we will really want to live. It was Marbella, Puerto Banús, San Pedro, and New Andalusia. So in this area, 2 or 3 thousand euros per month, it was like something okayish. And above all of that, there was like villas and bigger houses. So we really wanted to live near Puerto Banos, maybe near San Pedro, like near the seaside. And we ended up choosing Airbnb, which was, I think, 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, because we will have we knew that we will have guests arriving, and we also were hoping that our nanny would come with us at least for some time. And yeah, we booked a flat around 2.5 thousand euros per month it was. So, of course, the rent is much more higher than here in Latvia or in Riga. The rent is a bit higher. Of course, in summer, the prices go way up. So, I think we booked already for 3+ months through Airbnb. We also booked a car because we needed a car with children. We knew we will be traveling. We also was kind of certain, I didn't know at that point how, but I knew that I will find some sort of school or kindergarten for kids. So I knew that I will have to have a car. So I think we paid for a car for 3 months, 3,000, something like that, for 7 seats, because we knew we will have guests, and with child seats, you just have to have a bigger car. So that was like a basic cost that we paid for living and for driving around, not mentioning food and other expenses that we will have down the road. And I think the final decision for me was not booking Airbnb, because I was still able to cancel it. Okay. So that was my kind of like, security blanket, that I can get a refund. But in December, literally in December, and we were flying January 3rd. The beginning of December, we started to asking our nanny if she could come with us. And she was like, you know what? I don't know. And we got her to say yes, and she came with us for a whole month in January. She spent a whole month with us, with our kids, and lived with us, so we can work, we can travel, and not to worry about kindergarten, because at that time nobody, like literally no school, was answering to me, and I was like stressed. How am I going to run my life from Marbella while I don't have a child here, basically? But my husband was very like positive. We will manage it, we will do it. But I was like, oh my God, like what am I doing? So December was super stressed for me, super stressful for me, with the whole Christmas, etc. It was really like testing us to see like how badly do we really wanted it. And when I say that my husband wanted more than me, this is how it proves it, because he called her multiple times. She he he's very good at communication, and he was the one that said like, come on, how much do you want, and we will go. She finally said yes. We booked the flights for her. She was flying with us, and basically, I think we also paid around 1,200, 1,500, something like that, for her salary, so she can live with us in January for the whole month. So again, all of these steps really like kind of showed to us like who do you have to become, what kind of discipline you have to have in order to truly live what you want, basically what you have like daydreamed about. Not just like, oh, I want to go, but what actually you have to do, how much money you have to make, what kind of offers you have to launch, how disciplined you have to be to make it actually happen for you. Not just for you as a one person, but for a whole family, okay? So these are well, I'm also very honestly sharing about, basic costs that we covered as a family, because I think it's important so you guys have a full transparency of how it actually looked like. And December went by, we start packing, and I realized that actually this sign was a good sign that he really, really wanted to go, and he took the responsibility and made all the arrangement about a nanny. And this literally was like such a relief for me because I knew that in January I had like multiple projects. I have a lot of one-on-one client where basically I was very, very busy, and there was a lot of projects that I wanted to create. So I was like, whew, okay, if we are going, that we are going because we have time to find school when she will be away. And January came, and I think, packed like 5 gazillion big suitcases, two cases of hand luggage, backpacks, and there we go. And we went to Marbella for 3+ months. I think the first surprise was that there was a lot of rain, and we could not go as much as outside that we wanted to. So again, we ended up with a lot of additional extra costs, like co-working spaces, cafes that we will spend the whole day in and eat out, and of course, entertainment for kids, toys, new shoes, new clothes, because the weather was like unpredictable, to be honest. So again, these decisions will definitely show to you, to yourself, how badly do you really want it, and what are willing to do in order to cover those costs. Okay, so January and February was definitely about adapting, was definitely about generating a lot of income. And I think January was such a like fast month personally for me because I worked with so many one-on-one clients. I launched my audio training. I had my mastermind, and I think I had my highest cash month without done for you service provider. Salary, basic, not salary, but without selling my services as a done for you service provider, but only from being an online business strategist. So this was really exciting for me to see that I can actually make the same or even more amount of money. I think I ended up earning around 12K per month only with coaching and only with business strategy, not selling done for you services, which is not the goal for me anymore, while also moving across Europe with 2 kids and having everything, new in my life. So this was also a moment when I realized that I actually do perform really, really well under pressure. And yes, sometimes my mind says, oh my God, how can you do this? How will you make it work? But you just take, honestly, day by day, and you just do it. And for me, again, I had at that time, I think around 1,300 followers. I'm year in starting my career as an online coach and expert. And I'm super proud that I could switch my income basically from being a done for you service provider with 2 kids while moving across Europe and while still making basically the same money I was making, or even more, honestly, as a done for you service provider. So this is actually a topic that a lot of people don't talk about, that the discomfort, what's the discomfort you have to go through in order to reach the goals you want and in order to live the life you want, okay, while still having, a day-to-day jobs and tasks and kids and family. And honestly, life will happen to you. Also, January, I think we got sick 2 times, so definitely life happened. I also want to get super real about what it's like to move across Europe with 2 kids. And especially because January was so busy for us. And still, you have to understand that I only had nanny for January, and she was leaving 1st of February. And still, at the end of January, I haven't found any school because majority of schools told me no, because it was a mid-September and I was freaking out, you guys. Like, I was freaking out because the rain was pouring, and we spent already I think two-ish weeks inside because there was like huge storm, a lot of wind, a lot of rain. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to run my projects, how my husband is going to work, and how I'm going to still keep the same level of childcare that I'm used to, and not Basically, so they are not living by their laptops or by their TV, but having a normal day-to-day routine, because my son also had a homeschooling because he's already in preschool. So there was so many stuff that we had to do. And I was like, honestly, at that point, I was freaking out. And I think last week of January, one kindergarten answered to me that they are willing to take our both of our kids, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best day ever. I don't care how much it costs, I don't care about nothing, just please, just I hope it works out. And it did, and honestly I was so relieved because it was such a good kindergarten. And I also got asked a lot about, prices for kindergarten. And I think we paid, if we paid weekly, it was around 1,000 or 1,100 euros per month per kid. But if you go per month, you pay around 700-800 euros per month. So for the first 2 weeks, we paid the big check for both of the kids. And for March and April, we paid a normal monthly fee. So, additional 2K per month for the kids just to have childcare from 10 to 4 p.m. So you can work in that gap of time. These are the costs that you have to be ready if you are working parent and if you still want to experience, living abroad and still, you want to have your sanity because I don't believe that you can do both. You actually have to have some sort of childcare, especially for me if I have 2-year-old and 5-year-old, which also needs to be homeschooled. So, I kind of have to understand like when is the time that I'm going to work, when is the time that I want to just live my life, experience, Spain, and also have time with my husband also alone. So these are also expenses you do have to, take into consideration if you want to move or if you want to experience a month, 2, 3 abroad. Because of course, I think for services, the expenses were much higher. Food was definitely a bit lower than here in Latvia, like 20-30% cheaper actually, and better, I would say, about food. But services, childcare, cars, manicure, pedicure here, everything was a lot more expensive. So to wrap up, I think these are the basic expenses we experienced as a family. And additionally to that, I will have to say that for the first 2 months, we actually traveled a lot. And of course, expenses kept growing with each of our, travels during the weekends, going to the zoo, going just to the beach. With kids, you kind of have to understand that each time you're going out, pretty much it's between 50 to 100 euros, pretty much every time. And if you are lucky, you don't buy toys on the way to the restaurant or beach. But if there's a meltdown and if your hands are full and if somebody is, if Maya, for example, my youngest, haven't slept, that you just deal with the consequences, and sometimes it will cost you more money. So you have to be kind of aware of that, especially if you're in a different country and you don't have like nanny who can literally help you. But yeah, so I think these are definitely expenses that you have to take into consideration, because there will be a lot of additional expenses that you just cannot plan in Excel when you are going to go somewhere. These are real life experiences with kids. So I actually also invested, I think, honestly, a few hundred of euros in the toys and Legos. So, and also in our arts and crafts, so they can study, so they can write something, because a lot of the things I did not bring back from home. I did not bring from home, so I bought them there. And also, you have to understand that in order for them to have fun, they need have toys. They need have some sort of activities. If you don't want to be by their iPads or by their laptop all the time, okay, or TV, it's not my kind of parenting. So these was also additional costs. Yeah, I think these are the basic expenses that we experienced as a family. And all of that, like the discipline, like the level of accountability into both of us. We really understood like, okay, this experience really allowed us to step into the next version of us, if I can say that. It's so cliche, but it's so true that with your dreams, if you want to chase your dreams and live your dreams, right? There comes a certain level of accountability and also of what you are willing to do to actually get there, okay? It requires a certain level of discipline, accountability, and the way you keep promises to yourself, to be honest. So it definitely, this experience, I will say, it changed us as a family for sure. Definitely me and my husband, because we got to experience and see, okay, what it's like to live abroad. How much does it actually cost? How much does education cost, right? What we have to do, like how we have to work, how we have to manage the team, manage our time, like who do we have to become in order to live like that and experience the level of life that we kind of daydreaming about. So I will say, if you are thinking about going to Marbella or any other like country and live abroad and spend the winter there, kids or no kids, you have to understand that there will be so many like secret costs that you will have to deal with, because there's no other way. You will be in a different country, different environment, and it will test you. And at the end of the day, I can definitely, looking back, now I can say that this was definitely a good thing for us, because it for sure tested us. It for sure tested what are we made of, what kinds of decisions we have to make. Will we like strip back and not live our dreams? Or we can think how much money I need to make in order to live like that. Not like how much I need to save, or how much I not should not spend, or where should I cut back, but what kind of offers do I have to launch? How consistent should I be on social media? What kind of formats of offers I have to launch? What's the price points, or how many clients I have to sign every month, basically, in order to not just live like that, but to keep the same level of living. And also taking into consideration that we do have kids, and there always will be additional expenses with that. So to wrap up this episode, basically I shared about basic experience as a family, traveling across Europe, and also like very transparently sharing the expenses, what it's like, what you need to be aware of, and yeah, like basically who do you need to become in order to just take your kids and go, and also what kind of business you need to create in order to experience this kind of life. Also, if you are listening to this episode and you're thinking like, oh, I would love to go, but I really have an offline business, or my business is currently location based, now it's the time to start thinking. Maybe you can go fully online. What kind of offers do you have to create in order to just go and experience life somewhere else, right? So yeah, I would love to know your feedback. What was new for you from this episode? And yeah, I would love to know your feedback. Maybe you also are planning to go or planning to live abroad. I would absolutely love to hear if this was helpful for you. Definitely tag me in this episode, share your feedback, share your thoughts. And yeah, I will see you another episode of Life First Business Podcast. Thank you so much for listening.